Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel, I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Today, we're going to be canning up some mushrooms. They had them and they looked beautiful at Costco, and I've always wanted to try canning mushrooms, so we're going to do that today. And I've looked up the recipe. It's several different places. They pretty much all say the same thing. So we're going to be going with this recipe from the Amish cookbook, or the Amish canning cookbook, and basically all it says to do is to soak these in cold water in the sink for 10 minutes to kind of wash them and get all the gook off of them, and then we're going to cut them up, parboil them, and then can them up. So pretty simple. I'm going to bring you along and kind of explain every step as I'm doing it, but for now, we have our mushrooms. They have been soaking in the sink for at least 10 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the water that we have over here in the sink, which is kind of why you want to make sure that you are actually washing them off. I am very much of the mindset of like, God made dirt, dirt don't hurt. I don't wash my vegetables when I pull them out of the garden. I kind of just rinse them off, and that's about it. I'm not afraid of dirt whatsoever, but when you're canning, you want to make sure that you're a little bit more cautious. And these are organic as well. So all we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, all I'm going to do, I'm going to fill this up to, I'm going to fill it up to the 8-quart line, and then I'll see you in a minute. All right, so we have our water boiling, and we have all of our jars washed and cleaned, and we have our lids over here. These are ready to go, rings. We're ready to rock and roll. So all we're going to do now is just cut these up. And I'm just gonna slice them. If you have like some kind of a mandolin slicer or something, I have one, but I don't want to use it. I don't care. So we have our first batch that's ready to go into our boiling water. All we're gonna do with this is I'm gonna put it in there, and I'm gonna wait for it to come back up to a boil. I'm gonna set my timer for 5 minutes. And then we're gonna boil it for 5 minutes and pull it from the heat. Okay, now we're gonna do that again. Now we're gonna go ahead and fill these jars up. I'm using the half pint jars because, I mean, who's gonna use an entire pint of mushrooms? So we're gonna fill these up to 1 inch of headspace. So round 2 is ready to go, and we're just gonna go ahead and fill this up again. And I'm not being super careful with the headspace just yet. I'm gonna go through and fix it in a couple minutes. But in the end product, make sure you're very careful with the headspace. So now I'm just gonna go through each one while I'm waiting for the last batch to cook, and I'm gonna get it to 1 inch headspace. I went ahead and switched out the blanching pot for the pressure cooker, filled it up with water, and turned it up to kind of like, like a 3, just to kind of keep it sort of warm. And then now we're just gonna fill up the rest of our jars and finish this process. So we got all of the mushrooms divvied up into our jars. I thought for sure that I'd be able to fill up all of these and have some leftovers, and I was gonna like dehydrate the rest of them, but we didn't even get them. We still have 4 jars left over. So we ended up getting, what is this, 16 jars? No, 18 jars. We got 18, that doesn't math. So we ended up getting 20 of the half pint jars, well, almost 20. This one is a little bit shy, but we can still use it. even though the ingredients inside are going to be a little bit shy of the 1 inch mark, we can make up for that with the actual the water that we're going to pour on top of it. The water is the most important thing. Like you don't want the ingredients to go above the line, and then but other than that, like you can be almost as short as you want it to be, just as long as the liquid makes it up to that line. So this next part is optional, but I'm opting to do it, and that is adding salt to the jar. I'm going to add, I have the 1/2 pint, so I'm going to do 1/4 teaspoon. If you're doing these in the pint jars, you're going to do 1/2 teaspoon. So we're just going to put it in each jar, 1/4 teaspoon. I like putting it in at the end, like on top of everything, so that I can see. I don't have to wonder which ones I did or have I already done it. Like I just do them all at once, and I can see which ones I've done, so I don't skip any, or I don't accidentally double salt one. And the next step, I just like to bring it to the edge of the counter because I'm weird like that. And top it off. Next, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our debubbler and we're gonna debubble each one. And that is just taking this stick, or you can take a like a chopstick, or a handle of a thinner spoon, anything like that that is wooden or plastic. You don't want to use any metal because you can scratch your jars, and really that will make it. You can do just like hairline little cracks, and those in the process of pressure canning can explode, or not really explode, but they can turn into actual cracks, and then your jar is broken, and all your hard work is for nothing. So, and you want to make sure that you're debubbling to get all of the little air pockets and things that could be hiding inside of all of these ingredients, in between them and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now that we have debubbled, we're going to go through and be much more careful about getting it to the 1 inch headspace. I'm going to show you that mark here. You have these 3 lines, and you're going to have the 1 inch headspace is the bottom of this ring here, rim, and this is the bottom of this one is the 1/2 inch, and the bottom of this is the 1/4 inch. You want to make sure that you're going with the bottom of all of these rings. I don't see a lot of people saying that differentiation, but the bottom of each of those lines are those markings. And if you go with the top, it's not going to be a correct headspace. I've done that in the past. I didn't realize it. I finally got this thing and measured it and found out that it's the bottom. So just so you know. All right, so next what we're going to do is get it just right. Each and every one. Okay, so next what we're going to do with all of these is we're going to just wipe down the rim with some vinegar. And that's, you probably don't have to use vinegar for this particular ingredient, but I just like to use it in all of my canning. And basically it'll get rid of any particles that could be on the rim that can obstruct the seal. And then if you're using any kind of grease or anything like that, it'll, any greasy ingredients, it'll cut the grease, cut the fat, and get it off the rim so you can make a proper seal. I'm just going to put the lids on each one. Now it's time to put the rings, and you want to tighten it fingertip tight, and that's as tight as you can get it with these 3 fingers easily. You don't want to crank it with those fingers, but as tightly as you can get it with just the fingertips here. Basically what I'm going to do now, this is intact. I've looked through this to make sure that it's clear, and it is. This moves up and down, so we can put this on, close it up, and crank the heat to high. So now that we have it cranked up to high, What we're gonna do is we're gonna wait for this to start billowing a bunch of steam, and then this thing is gonna pop up. And once that happens, we're gonna set the timer for 10 minutes, let all the steam and everything clear, all the air clear out of here. And then we're gonna go ahead and put this on here. And then once this starts to rock and jiggle and we're up to 10 pounds of pressure, we'll set the timer for 45 minutes. This book says 45 minutes regardless of whether you do half pints or pints. So we're gonna set the timer for 45 minutes and then I'll bring you back when we're all done. All right, the mushrooms are done. And all I'm doing now is just pulling them out of the canner and setting them in a place where they can rest overnight. All right, so that's all there is to it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and let these rest overnight, undisturbed, and then I'll bring you back tomorrow and show you what they look like when they're all finished and ready to go on the pantry shelf. So it's been a couple of days since we canned up our mushrooms, and I just wanted to bring you back and show you. We ended up with all 20 jars ended up with great headspace, and they all ended up sealing, and I'm super excited to be able to add these to our pantry. I've not had an opportunity to actually try them because I don't have anything that I really want to cook with them just yet. So that will probably be coming up in future videos, maybe like a recipe video or something like that. I'll bring you along and show you that. But for now, we all ended up with just 20 of the half pint jars of mushrooms ready to go on the pantry shelf, and all just look really good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope maybe you got some inspiration to do some canning in your own pantry, maybe even some mushroom. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Bye.